We've seen a lot of attempts at teching up motorcycle helmets lately, gadgets and devices that are designed to add a little bit more functionality to this most basic piece of safety equipment. And today we're going to look at one called Nuviz. It's basically a Google Glass style display designed to give you a little bit more information while you ride. Is it worth the $700 they're charging for it? Let's find out. Nuviz attaches to the front of your helmet, giving you a simple heads-up display that you can control via a toggle switch mounted between your handlebars or wherever else you like. Through here you can access the main functionality: navigation, music, phone calls, and photos. The interface is extremely basic, which is good since riding a motorcycle relies on a lot more coordination than driving a car. Unfortunately, the functionality of Nuviz is extremely basic too. For example, there's no music browser built in. You can only start or stop whatever you are already listening to on your phone, and even that only seems to work half the time. The same goes for navigation. While you can define custom routes with waypoints, which is great, all destinations need to be entered in the mobile app before you ride. There's no way to speak an address, for example, and once you're going, the device doesn't warn you about traffic or about anything else. The overall experience is incredibly rudimentary compared to something like Android Auto or Apple Maps and CarPlay. So what does it do best? Telling you how fast you're going, really. The system displays your current speed and the current speed limit, and while that may not sound like much, given how inaccurate your average motorcycle speedo is, it's actually kinda nice. The Nuviz mounts on your helmet using a double-sided adhesive plate that you need to stick on the helmet first. The first helmet I tried was this AGV, and it wouldn't fit because of this crease in the chin bar. There just wasn't enough room to stick that plate on there. So I went to my Shoei, my RF1200, and I had the reverse problem. This one was actually curved too much, so the plate wouldn't stick enough, and I wasn't really comfortable that it was going to stay on there at highway speeds. So I dug out my old Shoei, my RF1100, and finally I found a helmet that it would stick onto. So here, once you've got the plate on there, you slide this on, clips in place, and you're good to go. Mounting is actually relatively easy once you have the right helmet, but don't screw up because there's only one of these plates included with the kit, and the company doesn't sell extras. The same goes for mounting the control wheel, which can only be done with double-sided pads, and since you only get one of each, there's no easy way to move this from one motorcycle to another. The system also comes with a pair of thin speakers and a microphone to mount in the helmet for calling and for music, but even at maximum volume, I really struggled to hear anything, and I had to shout to be heard by anyone I called. The overall audio quality is a far cry from that offered by a dedicated Bluetooth helmet system like those offered by Sena. And then there's the camera, which actually works pretty well. The lens pivots so you can make sure it's pointing in the right direction regardless of whether you're leaning back on a cruiser or huddled over a sport bike. The system takes 8 megapixel stills and 1080p video, and the images are bright and clear, making it easy to identify the important stuff, like the license plate on that car that just cut you off. The Nuviz is an interesting product and I like the idea, but the execution is sadly flawed. A device that costs this much, is this big, and yet does so little is not exactly what I would call good value. The company promises more features are coming, and I believe them, but until this thing is half the size and half the cost and does twice as much, save your money, turn off your phone, get on your motorcycle, and go out for a ride and get lost. Finding new roads is part of the joys of motorcycling.